You started to blush. I will stop this line of questioning.
Still got it.
You still got it.
Have you ever seen someone share something that feels personal, but deep down you can tell it's really about shaping an image? That's what's happening here. In this clip, Meghan is talking about a private milestone, but the moment isn't really about what she's sharing. It's about how she's sharing it. She turns intimate details into part of her brand, positioning herself at the center of the story while carefully curating the narrative the public sees. And now, according to a new Radar Online report, Harry's reportedly feeling emasculated and frustrated. He believes these stories are told in a way that makes him look like a softer partner. When you take Meghan's word and you put that side by side to how Meghan treats Harry, a pattern starts to emerge. In this video, we're breaking down the clip, looking at how personal milestones become public branding, and unpacking the deeper dynamic playing out behind the scenes. But before we begin, here's the intro. Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe. Okay, everyone, I think the moment we've been waiting for may have come according to this new report by Radar Online. We've always asked ourselves, when will Harry figure it out? How will he figure it out? And what will he do when he does? We're going to go through this article that claims Harry has been feeling emasculated, frustrated, and even less of a man because of the way Meghan controls their public narrative. We're going to go much deeper than that, though. We'll go through some video clips that go along with this topic, and we'll break those moments down. After that, we'll connect it to the bigger dynamic, what it can feel like when your private life becomes someone else's storyline. We're going to go through the emotional experience when someone consciously realizes they've been emasculated, controlled, or dominated in a narcissistic dynamic, some common actions that occur after recognition, and some things someone can do if they recognize it. I'll also give some tips for outsiders that see this happening to someone else. So let's get straight into the article. It's titled Exclusive. Prince Harry seething and feels less of a man after Meghan Markle bragged he was first one to drop love bomb while they were dating. The article begins, Prince Harry is furious and humiliated after Meghan revealed in her new Netflix series he was the first to declare his love, with friends telling Radar Online he feels emasculated by her public admission. Mentions of the 40-year-old Duke of Sussex feature prominently in the second season of With Love Meghan, which was released earlier this week. Now, here's the thing. It's not just that Meghan says that Harry said, I love you first. It's that she's boasting, and that's what this article says. Before we continue, let's watch a couple of those clips. The first clip is when the guest is telling Meghan and setting up that he's going to ask her some personal questions. Let's watch that clip.
Now, I can't help but ask personal questions. I'm known for it.
He says, now I'm going to ask some personal questions because I'm known for it. And what I see in Meghan is mischief. It reminds me a lot of the facial expressions that she gave during her wedding. And it also reminds me of this moment from the Jamie Kern-Lima interview earlier this year. Now let's get into the next clip.
Yeah.
Did you tell him first or did he tell you?
He told me.
Oh, that's nice. That's really
And that's the moment where she's boasting. She finishes up by saying the following.
You started to blush. I will stop this line of questioning.
Still got it.
You still got it.
He says, you've still got it. And I actually see her gritting her teeth. What is really troublesome here is not just the boasting. It's that love is almost seen as a competition. Meghan mentions earlier in this clip that she fell in love with him in Botswana, but he's the one that said, I love you first. It's almost like it's a race to see who would be the first to admit their feelings first. And the person that does that is kind of the loser of the game, is the best way that I can describe it. It's a competition for withholding emotion and love. It's a page right out of the book, The Rules, which is a book that Meghan supposedly, allegedly read a lot and studied a lot. I've done a couple of live streams going through a couple of chapters from this book, but it's terrible. It turns love into a performance and relationships into a stage. And unfortunately, it's the dynamic that's playing out right in front of our eyes. The article continues, but it was Meghan's playful disclosure Harry said, "I love you" first in the early weeks of their courtship that is now causing turmoil behind the scenes. Let's pause here. That was not a playful disclosure. That was strategic, it was timed on purpose, and it was boasting and not a playful disclosure. The article continues and says, one source close to the couple said Harry is seething. He feels Meghan has made him look weak by boasting he was the first one to drop the love bomb. For a man who has spent his life trying to project strength, it stings. He told friends it makes him feel less of a man. Let's pause there. Harry, I'm sorry to tell you, there are so many things she has done in public. Just scroll through my Twitter feed that she has done that have been emasculating. This is an important first step of recognizing what really is going on. The first step to solving a problem is realizing that there is a problem. The article then says, another insider added, Meghan thought it was sweet to share, but Harry believes their private moments are being turned into entertainment and he wishes she would just shut up and stop making him look like her puppet. Harry, she's been doing this since 2016. You went public with your relationship at the end of October in 2016, and within 10 days, you were already breaking protocol or breaking tradition or the common things that are done and released a statement telling the press to lay off Meghan. If this is really the moment that Harry is waking up, this is a rude awakening. If he believes that this Netflix moment is the first time that the private moments are being turned into entertainment, he should go and watch the Oprah interview, the Netflix mockumentary. I mean, just anything that Meghan has done since 2020 that's been out and Spare is another one. He actually he took all of his private moments and turned it into entertainment by making it a book. It's unfortunate, but this is what Harry's life has become. It's entertainment. It's not philanthropy, it's not business, it's entertainment. That has gotta sting. The article continues, despite Harry's rage over her love remarks, Meghan has doubled down on making their love story part of her brand. But Harry is said to feel increasingly uncomfortable being painted as the softer partner. This is telling us Meghan does not care. What matters to Meghan is Meghan. She has absolutely no empathy for how her actions are causing someone else to feel. And you can't even say that there's no awareness because it seems that Harry has vocalized it. She is choosing to move forward and get her will done. And it doesn't matter who stumbles in the process, who falls in the process. And again, this is part of her history. She's done this over and over and over again. There's a trail of broken relationships behind Meghan. The article says a source said he's proud of his relationship, but he doesn't want to be cast as a love-struck puppy. He's been venting that Meghan's oversharing makes him feel emasculated. Moments like this cut deep. He wants to be seen as strong, not the man who fell harder and faster. It's bruising for him. What this portion of the article tells me is that he is not in full awareness yet. Because if he was, I wouldn't use proud as a verb to describe how he feels about his relationship. He's looked like a love-struck puppy for years. His family has told him, his friends have told him, the press have been reporting it for almost a decade now. Actually, isn't that wild to think about? A year from now, roughly, it'll be about a decade since their relationship went public. Let's talk about Meghan's motivations and the narcissistic traits that we're seeing here. The first is narrative control and image management. It's not just what she says, it's how she says it. It feels very much like impression management, carefully curating her role in their love story. By sharing this particular detail, she's practicing strategic disclosure, choosing a moment that makes her look a certain way while shaping how we see the relationship. It positions her as the more desired partner, and her body language, like flicking her ponytail and joking she still got it, frames the moment to elevate her status. And at the same time, it ties right back into her brand. These personal, intimate moments aren't just memories anymore. They're content. They become part of the narrative she builds around herself, her love story, and the image she wants the world to buy into. There's also boundary crossing and oversharing. This actually matches a pattern that I've noticed with Megan before. She takes private milestones and turns them into entertainment. It's part of how she builds her brand, folding these intimate moments into a bigger narrative about her and Harry. It's all about control. By being the one to share the detail on her terms in her framing, she gets to shape the story and decide what becomes public. Whether Harry's comfortable with it or not does not matter. And that's where we start to see the tension in their dynamic. Meghan leveraging personal intimacy as brand capital is critical and important. What we are seeing is the blurring of personal versus public boundaries, making private moments consumable content. Here are some examples that you may have experienced this. A parent shares your struggles or achievements with relatives without asking, but frames it to make themselves look like the supportive hero. It feels like your personal experiences are repackaged to elevate someone else's role. It's about control inside your shared environment, and you're expected to accept the exposure because, in quotation marks, we're family. Here's another example. Your partner posts milestones, who said I love you first, moving in together, engagement, but they don't take your input and they present the relationship in their framing. It feels like they're curating how the world sees you both, but you have little control over the narrative. In romance, this often affects identity and power dynamics. One partner becomes the desired one, and the other one becomes the follower. In a friendship, a friend may tell you a deeply personal story of yours at a party to sound funny, impressive, or closer to you than they really are. It's a betrayal of trust. Your private life gets shared, but not in your voice. Unlike romantic partners, friends and extended family often do it for social currency, attention, gossip, or status inside a group. And professionally, it could be a coworker who uses your success story in a meeting but spins it as their leadership or brilliance that made it possible. Your work or contributions become someone else's leverage for recognition or power. Professionally, this is tied to status, promotions, and reputation, not intimacy, but career positioning. When Meghan turns private milestones into entertainment, it hits a nerve for a lot of people. Whether it's a parent, a partner, a friend, or a coworker, many of us have experienced someone owning our story, reshaping our role, and using our life to elevate theirs, and it leaves you feeling erased, exposed, or controlled. Now let's look into what's going on with Harry. His reported reaction, feeling emasculated, seething, and less of a man, shows a deep sensitivity to how he's perceived. He reportedly doesn't want to be seen as the love-struck puppy or the softer partner. There's an identity conflict. He's struggling between his private experience and public portrayal. Let's rewind. He's struggling between his perceived private experience because essentially he thinks that what is being said about him isn't the truth of what's happening. That's his perception. But all of us have seen how Meghan drags him around, and that really he's tapping into what everybody else from the outside has been seeing and saying about his relationship and his marriage. And all of this is really telling. When you really think about it, this isn't just about who said it first, it's about how he's being framed publicly. Harry doesn't want to be seen as the softer, less powerful partner, but Meghan's framing puts him in that position. And she's completely indifferent to whether or not he's comfortable with it. And this is where we see the deeper conflict. There's an identity clash. Privately, he may feel confident and equal, but publicly, the narrative makes him look submissive. There's a status sensitivity. When Meghan tells the story her way, it makes him feel like his role is minimized. And there's a need for agency, the frustration of feeling like someone else is deciding how the world sees you. So, as you can see, this is not really about who said I love you first. It's about a bigger pattern we've seen over and over. Meghan's constant taps, pushes, and subtle corrections in public. She's always guiding Harry where to stand, when to move, who to greet, and when to smile. This Netflix moment feels like a rare glimpse behind the curtain. For just a second, you can almost sense Harry realizing how much control Meghan has, not just over the narrative, but over him. In narcissistic relationships, this realization can be brutal. There's shame, anger, and even grief. Some people freeze, some quietly start reclaiming autonomy, and some plan their exit. But that first spark of awareness changes everything. And if you've lived this, you know the signs. Let's talk about what happens when someone realizes they've been controlled or dominated in a narcissistic dynamic. The first is shock and disorientation. How did I get here? When did I lose my power? They often replay the relationship, questioning reality and second guessing their memories. Shame and humiliation, realizing that other people may have seen it before they did, can feel crushing. This shame can keep them silent. They don't want to confirm what they suspect others already know. Anger and resentment, it's directed both at the partner and themselves for allowing it, even though the manipulation was subtle and progressive. And finally, grief and identity lost, mourning the self they used to have before their autonomy eroded. Often, they start realizing they've built an identity around the narcissist's needs rather than their own. And what happens when this awareness kicks in? There could be compliance or freezing in the moment. They do nothing at first because they're still emotionally trapped. They minimize what they've realized. They might say to themselves, it's not that bad. There's a fear of conflict or abandonment that keeps them silent. There could be micro resistance or testing the waters. They start asserting small boundaries, subtle changes to see how the narcissistic partner reacts. They may pull back emotionally before they physically distance themselves. This is risky because narcissists often escalate control when they sense autonomy returning. And finally, there could be research and quiet planning. They begin reading, learning, and observing these patterns objectively. They might confide in safe people outside the relationship, friends, therapists, online communities, and some may start collecting receipts, emotional or financial, before making big moves. Here are the top 3 things Harry can do after this realization. The first is to get reality checks, talking to someone who's trustworthy and can give objective feedback. Journaling and therapy are key. Seeing the pattern outside of the fog is the first step to rebuilding agency. Reconnect with autonomy, making small, independent decisions, even minor ones, and noticing what is felt after these decisions are made: anxious, guilty, or liberated. Reclaiming autonomy in small ways builds the muscle to eventually take bigger steps. And finally, learn about narcissistic dynamics. Knowledge reduces self-blame. Understanding coercive control and trauma bonds helps people stop personalizing the manipulation. And here are 3 things that an outsider can do if they recognize that someone is in this situation. The first is learn the signs. Constant pushing, pulling, and guiding signals power imbalance. Public undermining, framed as playfulness, is a subtle control tactic, and oversharing private milestones for branding is a red flag. Avoid direct confrontation with the narcissist. Calling it out directly rarely works and actually can make things worse. Instead, offer gentle reality checks privately, saying something like, I noticed you seemed uncomfortable when she said that. How are you feeling about it? And finally, be a safe landing spot. Don't pressure them to act before they're ready. Just listen without judgment. The more shame-free space they have, the easier it is to trust their instincts again. Now, this last one is incredibly difficult. Like the popular saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. Make sure you take care of yourself first. What do they teach you on the airplane? Put your mask on first before you help someone else. You're of no use to someone else if you are out of oxygen yourself. So as you can see, this isn't just about Meghan revealing who said I love you first. It's about narrative control. Meghan positioning herself as the prize, integrating her intimate moments into her brand, and leaving Harry feeling publicly minimized. These patterns point to deeper dynamics in how power and identity play out between them. I'm curious to know what you all think about this. Please drop your thoughts in the comments, and feel free to share your experiences as long as you feel comfortable. If this was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a new video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you're looking for a meaningful way to support something beyond the screen, I'd love for you to consider making a donation to the National Domestic Violence Hotline in lieu of super chats and super stickers. They provide 24/7 support and resources for people in unsafe or overwhelming situations, whether that's emotional, physical, or just hard to name. Their information is on the screen should you need to contact them, and you'll find the link to donate in the description of this video. Every little bit helps, and it means a lot. Thank you again for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.